Superhero movies may be cool now and the backbone of several studios' calendars, but comics themselves, the pictures and the words that you hold in your hands, they still don't get enough respect. Maybe I'm just an insecure nerd projecting here. Shut up, Dad, my job is real. But it still feels a bit like the comics medium carries a stigma of being simplistic, disposable, and that the current glut of blockbusters are legitimizing it rather than the other way around. Thing is, the combination of art and words is one of the most potentially exhilarating and creatively fertile formats in the cultural world, and when the exact right combination of both is achieved, a simple comics page can leave you floored. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and here are the 10 most powerful comic book panels of all time. Full disclosure, some of these are full single pages rather than just one panel, but hey, just go with it, yo. Hey, go with it, yo. Hey. Number 10, Watchman Begins from Watchmen issue 1. This is probably the best opening salvo of any graphic novel ever. It's a toss-up between that and the first page of All-Star Superman, which is also a towering work, but the sheer amount of craft in that opening sheet of Alan Moore's Perpetual Comics GOAT tips it. The way the perspective pulls back from the street creates a hypnotizing, dizzying effect that immediately grabs you around the brain. Bravo, Dave Gibbons. But the dialogue is the MVP, with Rorschach, one of the best characters in the history of the industry, immediately assaulting you with his disgusting yet poetic imagery. Also, the fact that there are a pair of low-key spoilers hidden on this page, it's a final beautiful touch. Number 9, SpiderMan No More from Amazing Spider-Man issue number 50. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man has endured for decades thanks to its cheerful tone, fantastic gallery of villains, and the aspirational message that nerds can do one-liners too. But over its long history, Spider-Man has managed to leave its readers profoundly affected with some of its imagery thanks in no small part to amazing artwork. The panel of Spidey cradling a dead Gwen Stacy, as well as that iconic neck snap did it, didn't it moment, almost made it onto the list, but Spider-Man No More just edges it out. It's a John Romita Sr. classic. The rain, the shading of the sky, the stark contrast of colourful suits stuffed crumpled in the dull-coloured trash can. It's a proper work of art. The only weird thing is, why are your trousers so short, Peter, and why aren't you wearing socks? Now you'll never be able to unsee that. Number 8, This Man, This Monster from Fantastic Four issue 51. Okay, so if John Romita Sr. is the king of hyper-masculine kinetic 60s artwork, then Jack Kirby is the god. Best artist of his generation is not something I say lightly, but he goddamn was, and there was no character that Kirby drew better than the Thing. Hulking but lovable, brutish but tender, he's one of Marvel's best characters, and many claim that Ben Grimm was based on Kirby himself. One of his best stories is This Man, This Monster, and just look at that picture. The texture of the rain is so good, and Kirby utterly nails the depiction of the Thing as a creature both frightening and tragic. I couldn't put both images on this list because they're essentially the same visually and thematically, but also look at this image of Marv in the rain from Frank Miller's Sin City. Brutes in rain. It's absolutely beautiful. Number 7, Spider-Man Lifts from Amazing Spider-Man issue 33. Hey Spidey, do you even lift, bro? I may prefer John Romita Sr., but few can deny the impact of Steve Ditko's art on Spider-Man. The world praises Stan Lee to death, but Ditko, and to an extent Kirby, often were eclipsed by his PR machine. One of Ditko's amazing strengths was his ability to compose a page, building scenarios, racking up tension before finally unleashing a whopper of a panel, and there are few images of Spidey more memorable than him lifting a ton of steel and debris. I mean, look at it. God, I really love well-drawn water in my comics, don't I? The epitome of his underdog, never-say-die attitude. It's hard not to feel roused by this panel, and it's been referenced many, many times in films and cartoons. I love it so much, I even dedicated a moment to it in my How They Should Have Made Spider-Man 3 video. Check it out, send me cash. Number 6, Bats and Joker Share a Laugh from Batman the Killing Joke. Brian Bolland's art is really unnerving. It's smooth and natural, but also just a little distorted. It's got a heavy smack of the uncanny valley about it, and no story was that more perfect with than The Killing Joke, the official, unofficial sort of maybe explanation of the Joker. The final page is a masterpiece of suggestion and unnerving ambiguity. After one of his most evil plots ever, Joker tells a gag and somehow that cracks Batman up. The hero and villain share a laugh as police sirens wail, but then the laughter cuts out while the sirens remain. Many have speculated as to what this means. Did Batman snap Joker's neck, as legendary comics scribe Grant Morrison suggests? It's downright eerie and one of the great final pages of a comic. Fittingly, it's written by Alan Moore, the talented Number 5, Elektra Stabbed from Daredevil issue 181. It's hard to make the death of a beloved character both shocking and also really cool. Frank Miller found a way. Now, old Frank may have fallen sharply from grace in recent years as he's indulged more and more in his ultra-macho, ultra-right-wing, borderline racist, paranoid lunacy, but there's no denying that he's one of the great visual geniuses of comics. His work on The Dark Knight Returns is stunning, especially that shot of Batman and the Lightning. Sin City is flat-out gorgeous, but most underrated is his work on Daredevil. He's been responsible for many fantastic moments starring The Man with No Fear, the game of Russian roulette with Bullseye, Daredevil framed by fire, and best of all, the death of Elektra. The way that the Psy pierces notice her, but not her attire, the dark gush of blood. It's stark, shockingly violent, but so creatively done. Brilliant. Number 4, it's Wolverine's turn from Uncanny X-Men issue 132. And speaking of f***ing badass, the Dark Phoenix saga is recognized as one of the greatest storylines in X-Men history, if not all of comics. Epic and personal, it's truly exceptional stuff with some absolutely gorgeous panels. The Phoenix Force itself is a thing of stunning beauty for sure, but the most memorable image from the whole run is Wolverine squatting in a sewer. Doesn't sound appealing, but just look at it. The team are at their lowest ebb, all hope seems lost, but then oh damn, Wolverine's still alive, and he's pissed. The shadows across his face are beautiful, and in accordance with the fetish I apparently have, the water looks goddamn boss. It's vengeance in a panel, and was one of the first moments that turned Wolverine into the somewhat overexposed legend he is today. Number 3, the death of Superman from Superman issue 75. Well then, talk about a comic that manages to be hugely iconic and utter shit. The story of the death and resurrection of Superman was a transparent cash-in and pretty dreadfully written. But hey, they killed Superman, how can that not make it onto the list? The issue where they killed him, Superman 75, became one of the top 5 best-selling comic books of all time, and it charted a final battle between Supes and Doomsday, a sort of Hulk with stalactites. The entire book is filled with splash pages, none better than the double-page epic panel of Superman lying bloodied and destroyed in a pile of rubble before a weeping Lois with a simple word balloon that a Superman died. Number 2, Breaking the Bat from Batman issue 497. Hey, it turns out that when you take one of the biggest superheroes in the world and destroy them, people care. Like the death of Superman, an iconic hero is brought low by a brand new villain in a hugely successful storyline. But the Nightfall saga, where Batman's back is broken by Bane and he's replaced by a kooky-wooky mad Batman, saw a fair bit of critical success. And hey, you might have just spotted a reference to it in The Dark Knight Rises if you were looking really, really hard. Hint, it was the bit where Bane broke Batman's back. The spine of the Nightfall story, and pun definitely intended, is one panel, potentially the most shocking image in Batman history, that of Bats having his spine ghosted by Bane's knee. You've never seen Batman broken before, and this huge splash page, despite not being the most beautiful artwork, has remained in the minds of fans for decades. And number 1, Laurie Grimes from Walking Dead issue 48. Spoiler warning, in The Walking Dead, Laurie Grimes dies. In the TV show, it's fairly horrible, dying from complications during childbirth and also being shot in the head by her own son. Remarkably, her death in the comics manages to be even more brutal. Death in the world of Kirkman's Walking Dead shouldn't be a huge shock, but in issue 48, during the prison siege, which is a goddamn bloodbath anyway, there's a splash page that just leaves you breathless with how brutal and unexpected it is. Laurie and her newborn baby girl are shot, and it's so unremittingly graphic it floors you, with Laurie and her pregnancy being such a huge deal for 48 issues, for 4 whole years. And in one panel, they're both taken away. A perfect example of how, with just one single page, comics can be as devastating as any medium. And that's our list. What are your favourite single panels? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.